What's up, guys? Welcome back to Eagle Centric. I know it's been a while since I've been here to speak to you guys about anything football, anything Eagles news, but I'm back, and we are back live and in effect. There's going to be a different way that we do these shows moving forward, a different formula. So, and that's what's been keeping me for these past couple of weeks. I've been trying to put this show together, make it the best for us to have the best experience, and we're step by step getting there. Also, a whole lot of Eagle news to jump into. I haven't been here to speak with you guys about any Eagles news, so we have a lot to jump into today. We have Howie trading for Michael Carter II, and then making an even bigger trade today for Jaire Alexander. There's a whole lot to do and a whole lot to talk about today here on Eagle Centric, so let's jump right into it here. Eagle Centric.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
He's at the 20.
They should stop this one.
Domination, snot bubbles.
He throws, complete, touchdown. They've got him again. They've got him again. Sack Crumpler, what a throw, what a hit, what a catch.
Defense is just way too much for the count.
It's caught by Alshon Jeffrey for a touchdown. He pushes, touchdown. Jalen Hurts, touchdown. A.J. Brown, a run. He's going to score. It's a touchdown by Nick Foles. The train is in the end zone. Touchdown. Torrey Smith in for the touchdown as Jeffrey in. Touchdown. Jalen Hurts.
The Eagles and Ravens made a huge trade today with the Philadelphia Eagles acquiring Jaire Alexander, cornerback from the Ravens. And we already knew that the Eagles were working and trying to get someone in the secondary. And we all thought that the Michael Carter II, that trade, we thought that trade was going to be, okay, he addressed the cornerback 2 position. It's been addressed. Let's try to get an edge rusher. And when I was looking around just on social media, that's where everybody's minds were. Even watching all of the Eagles channels over the past few weeks, the edge rushers are something that we needed to get going. And that's kind of why we went and got BG out of retirement, because we need some pressure. And not just pressure, we need to get sacks. Because Jalen Hunt has been working his ass off this season. He's been getting pressures, and he's been getting there, but the sacks, and he's just now starting to get on. And I told you guys a couple of weeks ago that this was my favorite rookie coming into last season, and I knew that he was going to be dominant, but he just needs that veteran presence, which is what Brandon Graham is going to bring. But now that I think about it, man, with this cornerback trade, and let's get it right into it. The Eagles agreed to acquire cornerback Jaire Alexander in a 2027 7th-round pick from the Ravens in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick. Now, we also placed Marcus Epps and Azeez Ojulari on injured reserve. So, just a couple of things there. But, man, looking at this trade, I didn't agree with it. I'm going to be honest. And we talked about this on the show during the offseason, like, Jaire Alexander was someone that we should probably look into trading for. And this was before the season began. This was before the preseason. This was before the regular season. This was like deep into the offseason. It was like June. We hadn't even been through a training camp yet. Nothing had been. It was just speculation. And at the time, we speculated, hey, maybe this could be a good move. Let's go get a cornerback in the offseason while Howie doesn't know what the cornerback 2 room is going to look like. And Kelly Ringo was losing that battle in training camp at that time. So we didn't really know exactly where to go with as far as cornerback 2. Now, the season has started. And looking at it, Kelly Ringo, Jacorian Bennett, Adoree Jackson, those cornerback 2s, those guys who have been a cornerback 2 and not been looked at the best in Philly as far as just superstar players. We know they're a far cry from that. But into the preseason, all the way into like week 4, I'm going to say, we were like, we need some help from the cornerback 2 position. And Adoree Jackson held it down, but in that first Giants game, when he just refused to tackle Cam Scatterboo, we knew from then on, like, we're going to need a young, hard-hitting cornerback who's going to be who's not going to be afraid to lay the wood, pause. But and from then on, we knew that. But also, Keely Ringo looked horrible in the preseason. So the cornerback 2 position needed to be addressed. We knew that. So how we addressing it with Michael Carter II, I wasn't mad about that. I was like, okay, maybe we can make something happen with Michael Carter II. He didn't work out for the Jets. Actually, in 2023, he was very good for the Jets. It just didn't pan out because of injuries. And I knew that maybe we could get something out of Michael Carter. Hopefully we could get something out of Michael Carter because we still don't know that yet. But the Jaire Alexander trade, I thought after Michael Carter we were going to go, I was just assuming that we were going to go pursue a pass rusher like Jaden Phillips. It was even some crazy rumor, I don't know where it came from, but some crazy rumor that came out and said Howie was looking to get Myles Garrett and he was going to give away 3 first-round picks. We don't know if that was true or not, but it was something credible. It came out of ESPN Cleveland, so we knew that it was a credible something that we could look into. That didn't pan out. We knew the Browns are not going to give up on Myles Garrett. If they were probably going to do that in the offseason when he was demanding a trade and demanding a new contract. So we knew that was that was a long shot. But like I said, Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. I didn't talk about Bradley Chubb on the show yet, but we spoke about Jalen Phillips in shows prior to this, saying that how we should go and pursue one of these edge rushers. We got rid of Milton Williams and Josh Sweat in the offseason, and I knew from then on, man, maybe we might need another edge rusher. Now, I said, let's give Ojulari a shot because it was his chance to show what he could do when Nolan Smith went out. And he shined. He did his thing. He was all right. But Bradley Chubb would be that missing piece on the defensive line that the Eagles need. I mean, think about it. A veteran, something that Howie went and got in the cornerback 2 as far as Jaire Alexander, a guy who's a former superstar. And, I mean, the guy is just awesome. And he's still playing great right now. He's not, I would say he's past his prime, but he's still playing really good. He'll be probably a rotational piece. And that, in addition with Brandon Graham, that would have been, our defensive line would have stepped up so much more. Now, this is not to say that Jaire Alexander won't pan out or Jalen Hunt's just going to stop getting sacks because, the ceiling, his ceiling is just great. We know, like, Jalen Hunt could do huge things in Philadelphia, but he's still young and he's going to need that veteran piece, which is what Brandon Graham is going to bring. Now, we can get into the Alexander thing because, like I said, I don't want to wish bad on Jaire Alexander. I was actually a huge fan of Alexander coming into this season. I just watched him play this year from the games that he did play, and he only played in 2 games. Well, a couple of games, right? He only played in 2 games. Yeah, Alexander only played in 2 games, right? So the 2 games that he did play in, he gave up a lot. It was, a lot of flags. And, that's just something that once I watched him play, I was like, yeah, okay, maybe maybe I don't want him that bad. But then, we have him now, so I really don't know what to think about this. But looking at it and thinking about what Jaire can possibly do in Philadelphia, Christian Parker was Alexander's first DB coach in the NFL when he was with the Green Bay Packers. And that's not really saying a lot, but when he was with the Green Bay Packers, Jaire Alexander, that is, he was really good. And we know probably can't get that from him, but we can bring back some of that. At least a piece of that. If we can get Christian Parker to tap into whatever that was Jaire Alexander was tapping into with Green Bay, I mean, at least a smidge of that. And because he's going to be a rotational piece on the defense, then that'll do wonders in Philly. Now, like I said, Alexander didn't pan out with Green Bay, and that was mostly due to just disagreements with the front office. acts on and off the field and just things like that. That really wasn't because of his play. He had suffered from some injuries in Green Bay, but he was still pretty good if you ask me. I mean, like I said, injuries kind of hindered him. So that's one thing I will say. But looking at what he did with the Ravens, right? Bleeding Green Nation reports that Alexander only played in 2 games for the Ravens. 61 total snaps and recorded 5 total tackles, right? Alexander was a healthy scratch for the past 2 games that the Ravens have just played and was active but didn't play a snap in week 6. So the Ravens also spoke about how well he's handled not being able to play on the field, how he's handled being a healthy scratch, and that he's handled it pretty good. He obviously wants to play, but there was no immediate path to playing time, per Jeff Zebrick. So, like I said, it's a low risk, high reward type of thing. Basically the same with Michael Carter, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But it's basically the same with Michael Carter because if you think about it, it's a player who got for cheap, who was good once upon a time, and injuries have hindered him. And if Philly can get them to tap into just a smidge of that potential that they once had, or that talent that they once showed, they could do wonders. And that goes with both cornerbacks. So it's similar. And we're gonna get into the Michael Carter thing in a minute, but I just had to speak about that with Jaire Alexander. You let me know how you feel about this trade in the comments below. Now, like I said, I want Jaire to pan out. I think he probably will pan out, honestly. But it's just, like, what does Philly honestly need right now? Like, when you look at the defense, because the offense is complete. What does Philly need on the defense right now? We need an edge rusher, right? We need a cornerback and we need an edge rusher. Now, cornerback is going to have to be addressed, but if you could just get someone serviceable to fill in that spot, then I think we're going to be fine. But the edge rusher, that part, which is like Philly's identity for the last, I don't know, since Buddy Ryan, that's our identity. The defensive line, we hit the quarterback, we sacked the quarterback. We sacked the quarterback, and that's something that Philly has been able to do in the past few years. Now, this year, the defensive line is so young and full of second-year, third-year players that it's not going to come together as quick as you would like, which is why we, once again, went and got Brandon Graham, because that veteran is going to bring just that missing piece to that defensive line that we really need. And when Nolan Smith comes back, obviously, everything's going to start back looking how it needs to look. Moro Jomo has really turned it on in the past few weeks. Jalen Hunt, as I said before, has really turned it on in the past few weeks. So it's not like they're horrible. It's just the lack of sacks and the amount of pressures is like, it's frustrating. When you're watching the Eagles play, you're like, they're getting there, but they're just not finishing. They're not, you get to the door, you knock on it, and you don't open it. You just walk away. And the secondary can't hold up for that long, which is why I say if we can just get a serviceable cornerback, someone that can hold up for at least, I don't know, a second and a half, 2 seconds, Philly can get to the quarterback, right? Which is why Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb would have been a big addition, because that rotational piece just adds on to the pressure that Philly's already getting. Right, when your defensive line is almost getting there all the time, they just need that one more, maybe that one more rusher, or maybe that, something. They need that just one more thing to get them over the hump so they can get to the quarterback, right? And I think by like week 12, this won't even be an issue. Maybe how he addresses the edge rusher problem, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's thinking about Nolan Smith, and when he gets back, that won't be an issue. So maybe that isn't something that's on his mind as heavily as it is on the fans' mind, like us, knowing that, hey, we want to be able to hit Mahomes in the Super Bowl this season, in the Super Bowl this year. So, just like we did last year, that defensive line really bailed us out last year. Not to say, I got my Jalen jersey on, so not to any discredit towards Jalen, but man, they bailed us out big time, right? And if you look at the first Super Bowl when we played the Chiefs, we couldn't hit the quarterback at all. 0 sacks. Remember they had the shirts with the 0 sacks on them? I remember that, right? And in the second Super Bowl against the Chiefs, it was just the total opposite, right? So that's the type of defensive line that we're going to need moving forward. I don't care if we have 73 sacks. We talked about that on the show, like how big that would be, like we had in 2022, but we don't need that. All we need is about half of what the Denver Broncos are doing as far as getting to the quarterback, and man, we'll be fine by like I say, week 12 moving forward. I don't think this would even be an issue. This would probably be something we laugh at, and hey, but how he didn't even, I'm not going to say he didn't attempt, because he did attempt to, and the Myles Garrett rumors and the Jalen Phillips rumors and the Bradley Chubb rumors were there. But it just seemed like Howie's main focus wasn't the edge rusher, right? Because he probably knows the guys we have injured. And I just told you Azeez Ojulari is on injured reserve. So he knows like some of these guys are injured, they're a little nicked. When they get back, that edge rusher position might just get back to rolling how it was. It's the cornerback position maybe in his mind. And he's like, I might need to do something about that before Keely Ringo or Dory Jackson or hell, Jacorian Bennett cost us a big game against one of these elite receivers, because looking at our schedule, we do have a bevy of great receivers that we're going to have to play. Amon St. Brown and CeeDee Lamb once again. And although we joke a lot, but Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin, and we're going to have some Roma Dunze. We have the Bears this year. So we have some receivers this year that's going to give us it's going to be a little tricky for us. So we're going to need that extra hold in the secondary, which is why, like I say, I didn't agree with it 100% when he went and got Jaire Alexander, but looking at the future of what this team, how he wants this team to look like, or looking at the future of, okay, how this team needs to look like in the playoffs, then I think, looking at the trade, it wasn't that bad of a trade, right? It wasn't that bad of a trade. So, all luck to Jaire Alexander. I hope that this pans out for him. And if it doesn't, it still won't be a huge hit. That's something that we haven't touched on either here. If this doesn't pan out for the Birds, it won't be a huge hit to the cap, or, it won't be anything like that. It'll just be, like I said earlier, low risk, high reward. If he pans out, he pans out. It's great for Philadelphia. We probably still go get a cornerback in the draft next year, but now we can go release some of these, that extra fluff as far as the cornerback room, because some of these guys need to go. And Keely Ringo, starting with Keely Ringo, he has to go. Now getting into this Michael Carter II trade, the Eagles trade John Mechie to the Jets for cornerback Michael Carter II. And the biggest question once Howie made this trade, and once this trade came across everyone's ticker, was what does this do for the Birds, right? And Joe Douglas, who was a former GM for the Jets and now a scouting executive for the Birds, he drafted Carter when he was with the Jets. So there was someone there in the Eagles front office saying, let's get that guy. And the fact that we went and got him, and the fact that Joe Douglas is here, and that isn't a coincidence. Now, Carter II was drafted in the 5th round in 2021. He logged 25 starts out of 65 games. Now, out of 25 passes defended, he has 2 interceptions. He has an 83.4 passer rating when targeted, which is pretty good. Now, the thing with Carter II is health, right? Like I said before with the Jaire Alexander thing, the health is going to be the biggest thing with these players that Howie goes and get. I mean, when you go and get any of these players in free agency, right? You're basically saying like, okay, we need a veteran who's probably past his prime, but still playing decent enough that could bring some type of a change to the team as a whole. Right, and that's what I'm going to say. That's what Carter is at this point, because he's not a veteran. He's still young, but looking at his, his career so far is kind of heading towards that. Right, Like 37 combined tackles and 13 tackles in 15 games isn't bad. And in 2023, he played very well, right? He dominated. He was graded the second highest nickel corner in the NFL, and he earned an All-Pro vote. He didn't get an All-Pro, but he earned an All-Pro vote. And that ultimately helped him get this 3-year, $30.75 million deal with the Jets. And 2023 was a great year for him. Now, he was trying to ride that high into the next season, but like I said before, injuries just prevailed. And now he's, a low-cost, high-risk guy. A low-risk, high-reward type of signing. And, overall, he could probably provide some versatility at the cornerback position. NFL Eagles insider, James Palmer, posted on X saying, I would expect Cooper DeJean to be moving to the outside, and to be honest, Fangio hasn't come out and expressed any relief for the cornerback 2 position, which in my opinion means he's still not satisfied at the cornerbacks in the room as of now. Now, I could be wrong, and if Carter is given an opportunity and he could play and he goes out there and truly makes plays, and, just looking at this right here, right? He has some great statistics in 2023. And as I've named before, he got an All-Pro vote. So some potential there also. Michael Carter could pan out. And if he does, I've been hearing some rumors here and there about moving Cooper DeJean to the outside. And if Carter is really dominant in the nickel position, a mirror season that he had of 2023, then there could be some possible things you could do with him in the nickel, and you could take some of that pressure off of Cooper DeJean in the nickel, move him to the outside, let him do whatever Fangio would like for him to do on the outside, which would probably be a little bit more work for Cooper, but nothing that he can't handle. Not very, overly concerned about that, but that is something that the Birds can look into if Michael Carter pans out, right? So, looking at this trade versus the Jaire Alexander, this one made a lot more sense, right? Because you're talking about a guy who, doesn't have as much baggage, and he's still young, right? Injuries have been kind of the only thing has been his problem as far as his career so far, right? You get the injuries solved, and he's back to playing as at least, half as good as he was before. And who knows, he'd probably get right back to as good as he was before. I'm only saying half because injuries sometimes do things to these players that, we look at them from the outside looking in and we say, man, that guy is trash after the injury. But we're not actually putting in the fact like, no, these injuries actually take a lot out of these players. So hopefully once he gets past his injuries and this injury thing that he has going on with him that hindered him in 2024 and this season, once he gets over that, hopefully we can get a great performance by him moving forward. Now, like I said, it's going to be a rotational piece, low risk, high reward. So this is going to be something that, really benefits Philadelphia in the long run if it pans out. Now, we're officially back. No more delays. We're still working on getting the show better. I know the background is still a little could do way better, but this is kind of the way and the formula in which that I want to have the show. You'll see some more things added on, and we're just trying to get a great experience and have so much fun here on Eagle Centric, trying to do giveaways, ticket giveaways, jersey giveaways for you guys, so you guys will be able to experience all of the great things that comes with being an Eagles fans, going to the games and experiencing Philadelphia and some of the things that I haven't even done myself. So this is all an experience and a journey with me and you. So we're back. Happy to be back. I love getting on this mic and talking Eagles football with you guys, and you guys sharing your opinions, and you guys liking, commenting, and sharing, and giving me all of your feedback. It's always greatly appreciated. And yeah, man, this is going to be a great journey, and we're about to have a lot of fun. Go Birds, and we have one hell of a bye week that we're about to get past, and even after the bye week, it's gonna be something. Can the Birds take number 1 seed? You know, we're about to have this gauntlet of teams to play. Packers, Lions, Cowboys, and then the Bears, right? So have to buckle down, strap down, you guys. Put on all of your Eagles, your lucky Eagles gear, because it's about to be a hectic couple of weeks. And I'm going to be right here with you guys to share it all with you, to experience it with you right here on Eagle Centric. So once again, be blessed. Go Birds.